Yeah. We can make a toast. Don't you do the most. I've been waiting all day just to see you play. When the time is right, we can vibe all night. She's so fine, okay, like in every way, like in every way, like in every way.
What's up, everybody? I'm your host, Nicole Scott,
And I'm Jason Scott.
and we are Scottsland Love Podcast. So, welcome back. Thank you for tuning in. We hope that you were able to tune in to our previous episode and also our other episodes prior to our last episode. But we hope that you've been enjoying what we've been sharing with you guys, and we really appreciate the support and your listening ear.
Yes, just continue to like and share and comment, especially on our visuals. Subscribe and hit that notification bell so you can get every single episode that we put out, right away. So just thank you for that. We appreciate everything y'all, all our supporters is doing out there for us with Scottsland Love.
Yeah, we, definitely have had more time to focus on this because, we're still in quarantine and we're social distancing. We also want to just, say a prayer or just send our prayers to all of you out there listening and hoping that you guys are safe. It's been very challenging, I would say. I think I've had a little bit of up and down emotions. I've had to take some time away from the internet and from the news, and it's just been a lot going on at one time. So I really want to just send my prayers. Jason and we send our prayers out there to people that may have been impacted, or if you know someone that this has actually affected, we say a special prayer for you guys.
Definitely.
And hope that this will pass, sooner than what we all expected to.
Yes, as God said, this too will pass. So, no need to worry, be fair, have fear any of this sort of situation that's going on. Just be brave and, kind of stay at home and, stay quarantined and keep your family safe. Be smart about it, be wise about it, such as what the Bible teach you to, to be wise about it, and you should be fine. So.
Okay. We, in speaking about our previous episodes, so of course, I always, I'm thinking about things that I want to share and kind of like, really wanting to be led about what to discuss. And I know in our last episode, we talked about things or contributing factors that we felt have helped our relationship to thrive,
Right.
And what we think is beneficial to any marriage or partnership out there. If you're looking for a long-term situation, we thought those things were very important. And of course, the list can go on and on and on when
Right.
you're discussing some of the things that you think are important, and when you're actually in a marriage or in a relationship or partnership where you feel like it's give and take of certain things, there's always something that you're going to think should be
Right, and
there.
I think I said in the episode that if some of you out there have some sort of things that can benefit relationship, let us know. Comment below the post and let us know, because we don't have all the answers, so that can help us, and benefit our relationship as well. Just like we trying to help you guys out there, we also looking for to be helped in certain situations. So if anything that benefits you, please share. Please comment. So.
Okay. So, one of the things that we did not discuss on our last episode, but we may have touched on maybe in some sort of way or some form or fashion, is compromise. And so you might say, okay, well, compromise. Yeah, what does that mean? Well, I'm assuming that most of you know what compromise mean, but being able to compromise when you are in a relationship is very important. Because when you're compromising, you're basically two people are coming together. It's a mutual decision by both parties to be able to agree on a certain, situation or disagreement, or, sometimes you just have to agree to disagree.
Yeah.
I say that all the time because as we are together, we are also separate, right? So I mean that in the sense of we're all going to think differently about things. There's not one the same people. We're not the same, right? So Jason has his thoughts about how things should be done, or, what his expectations are. And I have my thoughts about what I expect, or, think as well. So it can become difficult if you're not able to compromise, right? And so we find that, it's not just about you when you are in a relationship that is sometimes almost selfish if you're not willing to hear the other person and kind of like take what they want or consider their feelings and making decisions as well, right?
Yeah, I mean, it's very important to come together and, whatever situation you're trying to compromise about, you got to come together with your spouse to figure that out, to make it, tie together, sort of like tie together. I mean, because if not, that can really put a damper in the relationship, or, it ain't always about being who's right and who's wrong. It's a matter of, coming together so you can make that situation run, as smoothly as possible. I mean, some situations you may have to take the loss, say that, I may not, I may not know, that situation, and I may, whatever the situation is, you may not win, so to speak. You may not win that. Your spouse may win that, but it got to be a point where you gotta come together and tie it together and make it work, so to speak. Right. And we in the relationship, we've been together for a long time, so we've been through many compromises and situations. I mean, small and big. So, and it don't matter how big it is, as far as the situation. Anything can, cause a relationship to go, the wrong way if you don't have no sort of compromising, type of aspect within that, relationship. So that's very important, in my book, I think, in a relationship. And I don't know if you have a certain situation that you can think of, but it could be anything. I mean, something small as, washing the dishes, who gonna wash the dishes after the family eats? That could be a situation. That could be a compromise situation where, who does that?
I cook,
sort of
you
thing.
clean type of thing.
Right.
Those small, but I will say even the smaller things can cause bigger problems,
issues, yeah.
And issues if you don't make it clear about, what, okay, this is not working. We need to come to a happy medium. I call it a happy medium. I feel like it's where you both can meet in the middle. You know what I mean? Like, it's a happy medium. We both can meet in the middle. Yeah. You may not fully agree with this. I may not fully agree with this, but let's come together and figure out what's going to work for both of us.
Right.
And so he made an interesting point about, washing the dishes or whatever the case may be, because there was a time where I was just like, listen, I'm cooking, you can clean up. Like, you may not be able to cook. Okay, fine. But I'm not going to be down here. And there have been plenty of times where I've cooked and I'm down here cleaning up everything by myself because everybody didn't disperse somewhere, including the kids.
Right.
But, I have to tell Jason, like, just because you can't cook don't mean you can't clean up sometimes. It's not just always on me. And so if you're starting to feel like, there are these certain times where I just don't feel that you're meeting me halfway on this, even as simple as cleaning up the dishes after I cook.
Right.
You have to discuss it, and it has to be a compromise. Yeah. So I was looking at, when I was looking up, talking, thinking in my mind and wanting to share about talking about compromise, I was looking at came across an article on Oprah.com from some years back, and they were basically discussing about good compromise versus bad compromise. So you might say, okay, well, what is that? I mean, there are some times where you can compromise and it not be beneficial to you, right?
Right.
As a person. So I touched on this a couple episodes ago. I think in the beginning when I was saying like I felt like when we first were together, like back before we got married, and we were just like in a relation, dating or whatever the case may be, I felt like I compromised a lot in a bad way, because here I am, really investing my time in someone that's not willing to meet me where I need to be met, right? And so you know what your expectations are as a woman and what you expect. And if you feel that you're the one that's always giving and doing just to make someone else happy, and they're not giving back, they're just taking, and they can never seem to think and listen to what your feelings and thoughts are, then that might be that you're compromising in a bad way, right? And so I feel that when you do that, you sometimes are like, it's maybe going against some of your morals and values, like some of the things that you're doing to be with this person.
Yeah,
right?
I mean, for that situation you talked about, it could be looked at as a bad compromise. But if you look at the outcome of it, it actually wasn't too bad. I mean, we still together, we married.
No, but it was bad at the time.
I mean, yeah, that's what I'm saying. In that time, it might have been a bad compromise. But if you look at the outcome of the whole picture, it probably wasn't bad, because if you would have intervened in that situation and, you know, spread apart, you know, we might not have been together. You know what I mean? So, you know, it was a bad compromise at that point, but eventually it turned out to be, you know, okay. You know what I mean? In my book, but
yeah, I agree with you.
You know what I mean?
But I think it was more so because you had decided that you took action to understand that there are some things about you you need to change, right?
Yeah.
In order to make this work.
And that
not
was the
even just
compromise.
for the relationship, but just
For
you,
myself,
for
right.
yourself.
And that
So
was my
first you
compromise.
got to know, you have to really understand and be accountable for your actions, starting with
Personally,
you.
yeah.
Nothing that I can say, or, you know, if you're out there and you're single and or married, it's nothing that anyone can say that help you you have to really recognize it first.
Right.
And if you don't recognize it first, you'll continue to be in denial about changes that you possibly need to make. And it's not even about
Right.
trying to change someone, right?
Right.
It's
And speaking for the men, yeah, like you said, I recognize that in myself.
Right.
And I feel as though I needed to make that change.
Right.
And I went and made that change.
Mm-hmm.
But, you know, it's tough when you don't see that. See, I
Yeah.
seen that, so that was the positive thing. See,
Right.
if I wouldn't have seen it and she was beating me down the head about it, then it would have caused a bad compromise, and I probably would have left and never would have dealt with it. But I seen it in myself that I had some issues that I had to work with. So
Right.
as far as, you know, all the men out there, you need to see, you know, what some of the issues you may have, or some of the things that your spouse or your the person you with say. You got to take that in consideration and then make those changes.
Right.
You know, and that's what I seen, and I was making those changes, so this relationship can, you know, move forward.
Right. So at that point, you know, he decided that this is what he wanted. And so, you know, it was because it was what he wanted. So it was like, okay, at this point, you know, all right, now I have something to work with in terms of compromising, like, and if we go move forward.
Mm-hmm.
So in this article, they basically talk about, like I said, good and bad compromise, and is talking about a girl who was like talking to her girlfriends about some of the changes that this guy wanted her to make, right?
Mm-hmm.
And it was like, oh, well, he doesn't like that I do yoga, so she stopped doing yoga. He doesn't like that I dress a certain way, so she started like covering up a little bit more. He doesn't like that I, whatever issues he didn't like about her, she was constantly changing herself to meet his expectations. And they felt that, you know, she wasn't really in a relationship. It was more like they called it a hazing experience. Like, he's taking all these things away from you, and I'm not feeling like you're doing all this stuff for yourself. You're doing it to please him.
Right. Well, in that situation, I would first, you know, ask her, you know, some of the changes that I wanted to make with her. How does she feel about them? So first you got to communicate that and say, you know, how do you feel about not doing yoga? Because, you know, I don't necessarily like that. How do you feel about that? So I got to see her point of view, how she feel about these certain things. Obviously, she doing them, but maybe he didn't understand how she felt about these things. Like, if you love to work out and I said, I don't like you working out, then that would be a bad compromise because you like working out. So I'm stopping, stopping the thing that you like doing, that cause issues. What I mean? I'm not going to stop you from working out if you love to work out. I mean, but if it was a problem to me, say if I didn't like, the way you worked out, he said yoga. If I didn't like the way you did yoga, depending on what don't you like, then we got to communicate that. Like, what are you doing in front of people? Or, if you're doing it amongst, yourself, I don't see the issue with that. Now, so you got to figure out what don't he like in that situation? You know what I mean?
Yeah, well, if he's it basically is saying that, a bad compromise is changing your habits in such a way where you become less of your authentic self. So if you're asking me to do these things that I know that I really don't really want to do, I'm losing more of myself by being with you because I'm compromising certain things about me in a bad way just to make you happy. Okay, because because you're doing that, you're basically making the person happy just because they don't like something about you. It is not even about the yoga. They gave those. Yeah,
but sometimes, when you make compromises, it could be for your benefit too. It could be for your benefit. Like you saying, like, say for instance, you don't like speaking, in front of people. But if I say you should speak in front of people, it could probably benefit you. But you way in the back, you don't want to say nothing. And that could hinder, you growing and getting better. You know what I'm saying? Mm-hmm. So I'm just putting out a situation, anything. Like, say if, I want you to, wear dresses, because I think it really showcase who you are. But you say, nah, I'm not a dress person. I like to wear, jeans, whatever, all the time, whatever. But you may be missing out on, what you really could be if you was to do some of those things. So it could be.
Well, I do think that you can make. I do think that you can make suggestions, about certain things that you think would make. I think it's more so for me when I'm thinking of compromising with someone that I'm with. I'm willing to meet them halfway. So if you tell me, okay, I don't really like when you wear, have your cleavage out when we're together. If we're out in public, I prefer that you not wear your cleavage out. Okay, well, you're my spouse, and so it's like you're my husband. I may respect what you say, right? So I'm gonna meet you halfway, right? I'm all right. I understand. We're married, and I don't want you to feel, because sometimes I feel like some type of changes like that can more so be because you feel insecure. Like, true. Well, yeah, why? True. Well, why? I'm with you. So why does it really matter if my cleavage is hanging out or not? I'm just saying, like, but then you don't want everybody else to see. Right. So it depends on
what that person sees. The reason why he made that choice to say, he don't want you wearing clear. So he might have seen a lot of males looking at you, but you didn't see that. You may be doing your own thing, but he made it seem like so many people look at you when you wearing your cleavage out. Mm-hmm. So that made him feel some type of way. Although he's not insecure, it's just like he don't want everybody staring at his wife or her, whoever he with. He don't want nobody staring at him all the time. So it's like, I would say compromise on the fact that you can wear your cleavage out, but just not all the time. You know what I mean? And, all the time. And then you would communicate to him like, listen, Billy, I'm not going to wear these. I'm not going to do it all the time, but this is me. So I'm, occasionally I will, do this, you know what I mean? And then maybe certain places you go, is not a lot of people around. Maybe y'all go, just you and him, you know what I mean? Type of thing where, a lot of people looking at you and all that. So those ways you can compromise in a good way and y'all can meet,
y'all can, but it has to be for both people. So it's like, I'm not going to continue not showing my cleavage and then I ask you to do something and you can't seem to do it. Well, yeah. So then it's like, all right, well, we ain't, but then we not agreeing on this here. Like, we got to be able to come to some type of agreement you know, and not always agree. I may not always agree with you, but I respect you. So for me, it's like, as your wife, I respect you.
Right.
So I can respect that decision. But when you start requesting me to do a whole lot of things that I feel is basically compromising who I really am, you knew this before we got married.
Well,
Some
people.
I'm just saying.
You talking about us? I mean,
no,
it's
I ain't
different.
talking about us. But I'm saying, if
Some
we
people
were,
know. They don't. Some people don't know
well,
everything.
if you with
'Cause when-
somebody and you see how they are, you can see some of their true colors before
but not
you
all
actually
right
marry
away.
them.
Sometimes you take some time.
If
It
you
takes some
spend
time.
enough time with them over 3, I'm saying, first
It
of all,
depends on how long.
I'm about to say,
it depends on how
let's
long.
talk about realistically
Depends on how
being
long.
with somebody. Like, okay, for you, I knew you what?
Right.
How many years before
Right.
we actually got married, right? So there were things about you that I already knew, and that's another thing.
And
you gotta understand up front.
Right.
Is this something I'm willing to deal with? Like, if I
Yeah.
realize that this person is really not going to change, am I willing to compromise? Like, is
Right.
this something that I can kind of deal with for the next forever of my life, right?
Right.
And if it's not, then those are the type of questions that you should be asking before you even go into a long-term
I agree with that.
relationship.
You got to
right?
ask the question. Yeah.
So if you're not willing to if I say to you, well, I don't really like that you smoke, smoke cigarettes. I'm just throwing something out there, like smoking cigarettes.
Right.
I don't really like you to smoke. I don't like a guy that smokes.
Right.
Well, I'm not. If that's what you choose to do, that's fine with me. It's just maybe I need to be looking somewhere else if I know I don't want to be with someone that smoke. Because now I'm asking you to give up a habit that you've had,
Right.
although it's going to benefit your health in the long run.
But that also goes back to when you met him. So when you met this person, was they smoking, or how often were they smoking? So. And
yeah, they was smoking.
And what was your questions then? What was your question? So when you asked your question, did he say, "Nah, I'm never going to stop it"? So, and that should give you the sign right there where I should move forward, because some of the answers he gave me, that's like, nah, he not going to change. I can't continue to be in a relationship.
Yeah.
And those some of the, you throughout our relationship, you talk about us, throughout our relationship, we had some situations that took place that me as your boyfriend was observing, and I'm sure you was observing. So you observed certain things in the relationship as it going on, and then you may pick out, say, all right, I'm gonna talk to him about this because I don't like that. I don't like the way he may be doing certain things, so I'm gonna talk to him about that, because you trying to figure out, if I'm gonna spend my rest of my life with this person. So I gotta observe some of the stuff that you do. You know what I mean? And I don't know. I can't think of nothing on my head that I came to you about that I didn't, like you doing. But I'm sure I addressed some things. I'm sure.
Yeah. But you always be trying to make. But Jason, he tries to act like I'm not perfect by no means.
I'm trying to act like you perfect.
No, you don't try to act like I'm perfect. But I feel like I kind of sometimes feel bad because there have always been more things that I would discuss to you about things I didn't like than you bring to me about me and what I do. You get what I mean? Like,
well,
can we compromise on this? Like, I feel like I'm more, because you are I'm a little more I'll put
I'm
it
a lot
this
more
way.
compromising.
No, you're not more compromising. I feel like I'm a little more flexible than Jason when it comes to bending. Jason is tough, and
well, yeah, I am tough because I'm stuck in my ways.
He's stuck. He's stuck in his
I
ways.
do stuck in my ways.
However,
but I will compromise.
I'm not playing with him, so he already know. he already know I'm not the one. So it's like, listen, we gotta agree to disagree on this, and it's just like, okay, for an example, we want to move. Right. We both agree on that. We have outgrown our house. We have 3 children. It's a 3-bedroom. Our girls are, sharing a room. Najee will be a teenager in like what, 2 years or whatever. Yeah. So our goal is within 2 years, and she's going into high school, we would like to move, right? Okay. So the I think the matter at hand is, what do we do with the house? Right?
Right.
He says we should keep the house as an investment. Jason is more of a risk taker. But let me finish. He's a risk taker.
Right.
I'm more of a strategic planner. Like, okay, you saying that, so in my mind I'm thinking, okay, you're saying we should keep the house, but I'm thinking in the back of my head all the other things that can go wrong if you keep the house. Because say we don't get a tenant, say we can't rent it out, say someone does not live here for a while and we're stuck with 2 mortgages. Like, I'm thinking of all of these things that can go wrong. And I feel that if we cannot agree on what we should do with the house before we move, I don't want to have any type of resentment towards him about not selling it after we move, because we didn't come to a compromising or agreement on what to do.
But the big thing she said is, she's thinking about all the things that go wrong. But what about all the things that can go right? See what I'm saying?
Right?
So
Yeah,
she
you got
always,
a point.
you got to
Well,
really
I thought
think
about those too, but the ones that can go wrong just outweigh.
I don't think they necessarily outweigh, because if you have an investment,
They outweighing
if
in
you
my
have
mind.
an investment, basically you have, your investment paying for your house. So that's a benefit. That's a great benefit. You
It
don't
is
have
a
to,
great benefit.
worry about paying the mortgage. And then if we get multiple investments, that continue to trickle down and be a legacy, a family legacy for us. So I'm looking at the bigger picture and the bigger future for our kids.
Right.
And maybe businesses for them. Like, although, we could do real estate and then could pass it down to our children. So that type of stuff I'm thinking about, long-term future, growth for our family.
And I agree with that. And so that's why I'm willing to compromise, right? So this is where I feel we need to compromise on it. Okay, let's talk about as we get closer, because we're not moving right at this moment. We're not moving next month and even the end of this year. But as we continue to discuss this, let's look into all of our options.
Right.
Like, I said to him, okay, and this is the thing that I want you guys to understand. I feel that a man should lead the house. Like, I feel like Jason he leads our household, right? Because he's the head, okay? Well, God is the head, but, he falls under God, all right? So next in line, I feel like it's him, to make it plain and simple. So when he comes to me with ideas that he wants to do, I have no problem. And they're good and reasonable ideas. I will support him, and I'm willing to compromise. But I want to know, what is your plan? That's me. Like, right. I'll say to him, okay, well, you want to do this, but what is the plan? And he'll say, well, what you mean? I think at first you was just like, well, what you mean? We going to sell? We shouldn't sell the house. No, but I want to hear a plan. If you come to me and say, I don't want to work anymore, because he's come to me about that before. I'm going to retire. I'm just, okay, well, what are you going to do?
But the thing is,
what is
I
the plan?
say these things, but obviously
his mind be going a mile a minute.
Obviously, I will have a plan for all these things. This is the fact that I just mentioned them and passing them. I'm not, got my lesson plan all laid out for you right then and there. But we got two years to make the decision as far as the house concerned, and I will have a plan or as to what's going to happen. What's going to take place. So it's like, I'm giving you all these things, as far as investments and jobs and quitting, all that type of stuff, but I do have a plan. I mean, it ain't just all nilly willy there. I'm thinking about things and directions I want to take, for future success. I mean, because
right. So I'm willing to compromise.
Everybody don't necessarily want to be working for somebody else. You want to be able to work for yourself and mm-hmm. be able to support your family for your own self. You know what I mean, and not happen to during these situations. You talk about layoffs, talk about furloughs, different things of that nature. It won't happen if you had your own business and, working for yourself, mm-hmm. instead of working for, another company.
Well, I agree with that. And I do. And I think everything that he's saying is true. However, in my mind, we've been used to living a certain way.
That's
right?
the thing.
We have not used to living a certain way. I don't mean it. I mean it like we are.
We programmed in the sense that
we're not programmed. I'm not programmed.
In a sense, people in the program in the sense that they've been doing something so long that's the way they think they should be doing it. But that's not the case. You got to change your ways to make it better for yourself. Just because you was doing it for so long that way don't mean it's the right way.
Right.
You know what I mean?
Well, I'm not saying that we were programmed. I'm not saying that. And I do agree that sometimes you do have to think outside the box. I do agree with that. But I want to use wisdom in going about things too, and I'm just not making no hasty decisions about
No,
things without thinking them through.
never
So
make any
sometimes you do
decision.
have to step out on faith. You do have to kind of like I said, compromise some of the thoughts and in the way you think, change your thought pattern to kind of see what the vision is, see what your spouse or whoever it is,
Right.
what their vision is. Okay, so
Yeah.
I'm willing to open up my mind. I'm not saying that I'm just so one sided that I can't agree on things with you, but at the same time, that's when you're in a partnership. It's not always about what you think, and this is the whole point. Bringing
No.
it back to full circle, that's the whole point. You can't just do what you want to
Right.
do, because
Right.
you have to take the other person's
It's yeah.
thoughts and
Definitely.
feelings into consideration before making those drastic changes. So if
Definitely.
you say to me, okay, I want to start my business off the ground, I want to start my business, I don't want to work anymore. All right, no problem. So now we need to figure out how are the bill. Okay, so let's think about this.
Yeah.
Plan this out. Like, okay, we're going to have less income because starting off, it may not always go the
Right.
way you want it to. You know what I mean?
Definitely.
You starting off, you trying to build it.
Right.
And so it's not like you're building it and you've gotten to this point and now you can see the results and but if you're trying to build from the ground up and you have no kind of revenue or anything like that, it's just,
Yeah,
then it's different.
We have to sit down and communicate these things together as a team. You know,
Right.
all relationships have to do this type of thing. If you willing to, step out on faith and do your own business or whatever the case may be that you have in mind that you want to do, you want to communicate with your spouse. But the thing is, for me personally, I get with people that's been in this field for years and been doing it and has been successful. You want to get with people also that has been successful in this field, whether it be books, whether it be seminars, whatever the case may be. You want to get knowledge from those people that already done it. So you can say, I got something to, fall back on because I've studied, researched these people and understand this process. And now I'm bringing it to my spouse so we can understand it together so we can move forward with it. So that's what you got to do. You got to learn what you want to do. And then once you get to understand it, bring it to your spouse as a team and then see if we can make it happen the same way or even differently, depending on, whatever you want to do. So that's what you got to do.
But no matter what, there's things that you have to give up as a sacrifice in order to meet the person it's because it's really just not about you. It's just really about, making decisions together that will benefit both of you long term. And I honestly think that Jason has a lot of great ideas. I'm not saying that they're not good, and I don't think that we should not do it because we're so used to doing it another way. I do think you got to switch it up sometimes. But I just said that we have to compromise on several things, not just the house, not just business, not just, entrepreneurship, whatever the case may be. There are so many things. Just smaller things can really make a bigger difference. And, I, for one, will always say to Jason, this is just not like, I just think that, like I said, he can be pretty tough.
I'm pretty tight to the chest. I'm tight to the chest.
He just don't want to bend. And then if I kind of like make it clear, well, listen, you don't want, okay. And I'm not going to lie. I am a little petty.
What are some situations you said that I don't bend on? Because I believe, I do bend.
Well, I think you bend. I do. I think
In
you
a lot of
are a little
situations.
flexible in some regard. But I just think that I'm trying to think. But I feel like I'm just like I'm a little petty.
I mean, you could go petty like cooking. Yeah, I don't cook. That I don't bend on that because I don't cook. But I will bend on that. Like I said before in the previous episode,
I think
if she get me
well,
in the
that's
kitchen.
a good one.
But whatever. She ain't gonna never get me in the kitchen as far as cooking. But
No, I can get you in the kitchen. But what I'm saying is, I can think of like the cooking thing, or that is a good, because actually the article did reference that about cooking. And Jason has said to me, and this goes back to our conversation, our last episode, when I'm talking about communication, and you say things and you don't really mean to say that, but you say it. And I said to him something about cooking. He said, well, I don't need you to cook. I don't need you to cook for me. Remember?
yeah,
Right? Okay, you don't need me to cook for you. Oh, okay. So in my mind, okay, I'm gonna show this, and I'm just being honest. This is my thought process. Sometimes I ain't the perfect wife. I will honestly be petty. Okay, you don't need me to cook. So I know how you are. I know your pattern. You gonna be sitting up there waiting till 7:30, 8
But
o'clock.
let me explain.
And then you ain't gonna see nothing. Nope, don't explain it.
Let me explain what I meant by that.
No, then you're gonna say the
listen,
next day, well, I didn't mean it like that, babe.
Because listen, when I say I don't need
her,
her to cook, which I don't need her to cook for me, but
You
the
do
thing
need
is,
me to
I
cook.
want
If
her
you
to
want
cook.
a hot meal,
No,
you
I
need me to
want
cook.
her to cook for me. I don't need her to do anything. I want her to cook for me. So that's a difference. I don't need nothing. If she, I mean, God forbid, she's still around forever and ever. But if something happens, so I gotta eat, right? So I'm going to eat. So I don't need her to do anything for me. But I want her as my wife that can cook to cook for me. But like I said, I don't need her to do anything for me. I prefer her to do more of the cooking for the kids because they need to eat. But for me, I told you on the last episode, put some crap on a plate and I'm going to just eat it. But it got to be what I eat. But I want her to cook for me. I mean, that's just honest for me. I don't need anything from you. But I want it from you. If you don't probably provide those things to me, I wouldn't be happy. But I don't need
exactly.
it. But that's
So
the thing.
that's-
You saying
but-
need.
No.
You can't put it like that.
No, I don't say. I'm saying. Okay, maybe you don't want to use the word need.
You can't put it like that because nobody need nothing.
No, we do need things. We
do
need
need things, but I don't need for you to cook for me because that's a chore that if you don't want to do, you don't have to do.
No, it's not a chore. It's not a chore for me. It's something that I enjoy doing. I don't
Okay.
have a problem because I know we have to eat.
And I enjoy that.
But I just think that you just don't want to admit that if I did not do it, you would not eat a hot
I would
meal.
eat. What do you mean?
You ain't good. What you make?
I would
what
eat,
grilled
trust me.
cheese?
I
What
would
do you
eat.
know how to make?
I would eat.
What do you know how to make? Tell them what you know how to make.
Listen.
Let the listeners hear. Grilled
Listen,
cheese.
I have money. I can order. People.
You get tired. You'll get tired of
My
that.
mom's cook a great meal. I can holler at moms.
Your mom don't cook all the time.
My sister great cook.
And that's the thing. He don't need to go to his mother's.
I can go some
You don't
places
need.
they cook.
Listen to this. You don't need to go to your mother's.
I don't need to
right?
go anywhere.
You don't because what?
They got delivery service
Because
now. I
what?
can get it delivered.
Why don't you need to go to these places?
Why don't I need to go to my mother's?
Yeah. Why?
Well, because we in quarantine.
No.
I'm not going. I'm not going nowhere. I call mom. Can you deliver? Drop it off at the porch. I mean, what?
Oh,
mean
you
why
just
don't-
not going to admit why you don't need to go to your mom's because
I mean,
what?
I don't need to go to mom because I got you here.
Okay.
I mean, I got my
That's
wife
all I
here.
wanted you to.
No.
That's all I wanted you to acknowledge.
But you saying I'm not
Stop
gonna
trying
cook?
to act-
If you saying I'm not gonna cook, then I got delivery service. I got moms. I
that
can
will
go.
get tired. You'll get tired of that.
Nah, I mean I won't.
Yes, you will. You'll get tired of eating out. You don't even like to spend money like that.
I don't. I like to.
All right,
I do.
you like to save.
but I
So
gotta
you
spend money
would-
to get groceries, so you're gonna have to spend anyway. So those groceries be going to boys ordering out. But I be ordering out in certain
But
places.
if I get petty
I'm not
enough
ordering
and
no,
just decide
pizza all
not
the
to
time.
ever cook again, he'll get tired of doing all that stuff. So that's
I
the
will.
whole point.
But you
that
won't
I'm
get.
making.
You ain't gonna get petty enough to do that because that will cause some kind of miscompromise in our relationship, and then it won't be good.
For me or who? For me or you?
Both of us. You know what I mean? Both of us. I mean, these 12
He
years
is a
it'd
mess.
be.
Well, hey, it is what it is. God's will.
You
will
know,
always
men like
be.
a hot plate. So you
All
know,
right then. So that's what I'm trying to make the point. Stop trying to talk like
But
you
you-
don't
it's
appreciate
just
and
that-
don't need me to do anything.
It just need. Just don't say
yes,
the word
you
need.
need me. You need me. Period.
Look, Grace Scott don't need nothing.
Okay. Y'all hear this, right? He trying to be
Well, I'm just
all
saying.
big and bad. But
I'm just-
anyway,
ain't no big and bad. Ain't nothing big and bad about it. You just don't. So you don't say you need. You know what I mean? Because you know what I mean. That's like you know. What I mean, I need to put clothes on. I need to, food in my belly. But I can do that. You know what I mean? I could do that if you wasn't around.
right.
But let's move on.
Yeah, I'm sure you can. But it's really like I said, when you're talking about compromising, it's a whole lot of things that you can kind of throw in the mix in different situations, and this is basically a conversation that we have had, as you can see, several times before. The cooking is just one of them, but there are also other things that I think that we've actually had to like really make a decision about.
Right.
And if but my point that I wanted to make also is for those of you that may not be married yet, and thinking back on my past, and like I said, investing your time in things that's actually going to benefit you. If you're with somebody that you don't feel or is willing to compromise, I do think that you do have to kind of like take a step back and really consider, like, is this something, especially if you guys think you want to be together long term, you do have to think about the possibility that they may not ever compromise and see things your way. You don't want to be with somebody that only their way is always the right way.
And my tip is some of the young couples, just try to figure that out early on. Figure out your person you would, or your spouse. Figure that out early on, what maybe you don't like or certain things you think you want to communicate with your spouse about, so you can get those things on the table right away before it gets so deep in a relationship. So just get those things on the tables, make your compromises, try to, meet in the middle and get those things ironed out.
And it's okay to set the standard, set your expectations about what it is that you want, what you desire. And I still say pray,
definitely
pray for it, pray to make, pray that the right things are revealed to you in terms of what you actually should be seeking in terms of a mate or a partner or whatever the case may be. Because, and also, even if you are married and maybe in the beginning things were fine and you guys but then lately you guys just never have been able to agree on anything, and there's been just no happy medium on certain situations, pray and just try to figure it out before it becomes a more larger issue that you can't, is no turning back. It's just like, all right, this is just a done deal. Something like cooking definitely would not be something that would, like he talking about some 13 years down the line, drain. That definitely wouldn't be something that would kind of break us apart. I feel like we're stronger than that, but it definitely can become
little things can become big things, so you want to watch out for that. But I think this was, a great episode. Really, take whatever we said as far as some tips that we, threw out to you, and just try to, help you in your relationship and help it, get better, compromise between the two of you, and, make things go smooth.
And there was something else I was thinking, because you were saying like, what's compromising in terms of like, okay, if I clean or whatever, it's, if I'm cleaning and things of that nature, I'm talking about cleaning and cooking, but if I'm cleaning, I feel like, okay, you can cut the grass, because that was another thing. It was just like, oh, well, that doesn't necessarily mean women can, Jason tried to tell me women can cut grass too. Well, they can.
Definitely can. Yeah.
Women can cut the grass.
Hey, Miss Parker.
Women can cut the grass, but this woman right here is not cutting the grass. So, therefore, okay,
we meet in the middle.
If I'm going to do this, who's the
laziest?
He's answering the question right now.
Get somebody, for a long time.
You'll get somebody paid do everything.
I've been cutting grass for a long time. Brothers. Sometimes you need a break. I'm getting old. You need a break.
He is not, Jason.
Need a break.
Anyway,
it's a workout.
So like, if I'm going to do this, then you can do that. You know what I mean? Or it's not just, it's about the actual actions that you actually have to perform in maintaining a household, and it's about situations and just being able to agree on those things as well. But like Jason said, we definitely think and hope that some of the insight that we share today, you guys can, glean from, and it's really important that you have these type of discussions with your partner, because it's important, and it might be a small thing, such as a small, one word compromise, but it's actually something big. And you have to be willing to meet that other person there. It's not always going to be what you think. It's not always going to be what they think, but where you guys can kind of meet in the middle and really just agree on those difficult situations really makes the difference long term.
Exactly. So just take that, let it soak in. And we thank you all for, just tuning in with us and listening to what we had to say. We hope we got something, across to you to help your relationship get better. Again, this is your host, Jason Scott.
And I'm Nicole.
Deuces.
What do I know? What do I know? All I know is we can vibe though. If you wanna, if you wanna, or if you wanna, or if you wanna.